Okay, so I'm going to show you how to make a mask at home for an adult. You do 6 by 9, 2 pieces. They need to be 100% cotton. Tightly woven is the best. So you take your 9 by 6 pieces, turn it this way, and then you're going to put it into the machine and drop it at about halfway down, because you're going to leave an opening right here for when you need to turn it right side out. So if you're using material that has a print on it, put the nice print, the nice side, on the inside, have them facing each other. So the backs would be on the outside. So like if you have this kind of material where you have a print and then the back side, when you cut your 2 pieces, you're gonna put the print side facing each other and the back on the out, because you will be flipping it. Okay, so you take your 2 pieces, put it into your machine about halfway down, drop the foot, and you're gonna sew till about 1 inch, maybe 2 inches from the edge, and then stop. So when you get right there, you're gonna peel the top layer back. You'll need 2 7-inch pieces of elastic. You're going to put it in at an angle so that the end of it, the end of the elastic, is on the corner of the material. So you can see. And you want to make sure that this is flat. And you're going to fold that piece back on. You're going to hold it in place. And then you're going to continue sewing till the edge, so that you get the elastic in with the material. It's all sewn together. I reverse it just a little bit. Then you're going to lift the footer. You're going to turn it. Now your elastic is right here, so you're going to do kind of the same thing. You're going to come down, you're going to sew down till about 1 inch or so towards the edge, and then stop. Put the footer down. So right about there, so you can peel that top layer off again, keeping the elastic flat so it doesn't get all twisted on you. Put the other end of the elastic at the corner and fold the top layer back down, holding the elastic in place. And then sew over the elastic. And put the footer up. Now you're going to sew all the way down till about 1 inch or so to the edge, and then stop. Put the footer down. Okay, so you get your second piece of elastic. Peel that top layer off. Put it flat at the corner. Hold it down. Put the top layer back on, holding the elastic in place. And then you're going to sew down to the edge so that you sew the elastic in with the material. Reverse it just a little. Lift the footer up. Now you're going to sew the last edge. Again, your elastic is right there. So you're going to sew down till about 1 inch or so to the edge, and then stop. Got to put the footer down. Okay, so you're going to peel up that top layer. Now remember, this side is sewn just a little bit, so you can't flip it all the way up. Take that end of the elastic, Put it on the corner, put your material back over it, and sew to the end. So now you've sewn all the way around except for that little piece where, remember where you started was about halfway down. So now you have about 2 inches or so open, not sewn, because that's where you're gonna flip it inside out. So lift the footer, turn it, put the footer down, and only sew like about a 1/2 inch, maybe 1 inch, and then stop. You're gonna lift your footer, make sure the needle is up, pull out, and snip. So this is what you should have. And on the inside is the elastic. So you're gonna take your opening. I just reach my pinky in, I hook onto the elastic, and then start flipping it on the outside, or right side out. Your elastic, pull it out, and then you have your mask. Now this where you use pulled open is still open, so I take the ends and kind of tuck them in, and then I pin them like this. Oops. Because you're going to sew that closed. Now, when you're going to be sewing, it's good to have the pins facing out, facing this way, and not doing them long ways with the material, because when you go to sew, it's easy to pull them out. So now I have that. Now you're gonna make the pleats. This is kind of the hardest part. For me, I just take about a pinky space from the edge where the elastic is, and that's kind of where I make my first pleat. Now you wanna make it kind of small, because believe it or not, it will take up a lot of material. So you make your little pleat, and again, pin with the pin head facing out. And then just take another little piece. Now once you're kind of done, you can take the pins out and readjust. Sometimes the pleats aren't even, so I'm just kind of eyeballing it. Yeah, see, I've went down too far. So I come up a little higher here. So now you'll have one side kind of ready to go for your pleats. Now what I do to try to make them as even as possible all the way across is I fold it, and that's how I know where my next pleat will go on the other side. And same thing, just pin them up, try to make sure the material is even and not, you know, kind of off kilter there. Like I said, this is kind of the hardest part and the most time consuming. But it's important because the pleats add extra filter. All right, so kind of do a little double check of the pleats that they're kind of even. And see, I do this sometimes. I did my pleats the opposite way. So you want to make sure that your pleats all go down this way, like I had mine going that way. So on the other side, it has to be the opposite, or not the opposite of what you're doing, but on the opposite side. But you have to make sure that they're still folding down. Now, if you want a mask that doesn't have pleats, that's fine too. Like I said, this is just provides an extra layer of filter for what you're breathing in. So there we go. So that's kind of what your mask will look like before you finish sewing. So now I always start with where the pins are first, where the opening was. Slide everything in there. Drop your footer. I kind of pulled the first pin out because it's so close to the machine. Footer's dropped. All right, we're gonna go. Take the other pin out. To the end, you're going to pick up your footer, and now you're going to sew over the pleats. Now my first set of pleats are folded this way, so the material, when it goes in through the footer, it's easier. When you go to the other side, I'll show you you have to be a little more careful because the pleats are facing this way, so when you go into the footer, sometimes it could push up on the material. So I'm going to take the first pin out, and I hold the pleat down with my finger, put the footer down, and then keep taking the pins out, holding the pleat down with your finger. Take the other pin out. Go all the way almost to the edge, footer up, turn, put it back down. Make sure your material is not bunched up underneath. Actually, I think I'm going to go down just a little further. There we go. Put her down. Go all the way down to the end. Put her up. I'm going to take the pin out and hold the pleat. Now this is when the pleats are folded this way now. So I'm going to be extra careful with the material, and I go a little slower over these. Put your footer down, and I kind of help feed the material and the pleat into the machine so the pleat doesn't come out. Take the other pin. See, I got a little bunched right there, so I just kind of flatten it out. Take the pin out, hold it. Okay, so you've gone all the way around, all your pins are out, so now you're just going to do one final sew all the way around. So put her up, put her down. Put her up, turn, put her down. Put her up, turn. Down. Put her up. Put her down. Do a little reverse stitch. Bring the needle all the way up. Put her up. trim off your threads. And there you go, there's your mask. Now I like to fold the pleats and then iron them. I thought I had to finish mine here, sorry. Oh, well, I just iron the pleats down so that they're nice and crisp lines. And it'll end up looking like a mask. And then you have your elastics. There you go.